Good day everyone! Our topic for today in English 9, Quarter 1, Week 1 is about modal verbs. Here are the lesson objectives. Letter A. Differentiate sentences that express permission, obligation, and prohibition. Letter B. Identify modals of permission, obligation, and prohibition in sentences. And letter C. Use modals of permission, obligation, and prohibition appropriately in sentences. Let us do this activity entitled, What are they? I want you to look at these two sentences. Sheila didn't attend the party last night. Number 2. Sheila cannot attend the party tonight. What have you noticed in sentences number 1 and number 2? Do they have the same meaning? If not, what is their difference? In sentence number 1, Sheila didn't attend the party last night. If your answer is sentence number 1 states a fact, you are correct that Sheila didn't attend the party last night. How about sentence number 2? Sheila cannot attend the party tonight. If your answer is expresses prohibition, you are correct. Sentence number 2 expresses prohibition that Sheila cannot attend the party tonight. So, what verb was used to state that Sheila is not permitted to attend the party? If your answer is cannot, very good. The answer is cannot. The word is cannot. And what do we call this word? How do we call this word to denote a feeling in the sentence? If your answer is modal, you are correct. So, what are modals? Modals. Modals are helping verbs that denote intention or feeling of the speaker. They indicate likelihood, permission, ability, possibility, suggestions, prohibition, advice, order, or request. It is always accompanied with a verb in its base form. So always remember this formula. Modal plus verb and its base form. What is the base form of the verb? The base form of the verb is its roots. It is the version of the word without any endings. Meanings without s, without ing, or without ed. Take a look at this example. Can plus eat. So can is the modal and eat is the base form of the verb. Let us know the types of modals by doing this activity entitled, What do you think? So let me read to you these three sentences. Number 1. One must always pay attention to his or her surroundings. Number 2. May I go to my friend's party and stay overnight? Number 3. Many students cannot go to school as soon as they like. So all you have to do is to identify which among the sentences expresses permission or consent to do a certain task, and which among the sentences shows duties and responsibilities that someone is obliged to do. Lastly, which among the sentences prohibits you to do something. Let's take a look at sentence number 1. One must always pay attention to his or her surroundings. What do you think is the answer? Is it asking permission? Does it prohibit you to do something? Or stating your duties and responsibilities that you're obliged to do? If your answer is obligation, you are correct. Obligation that one must always pay attention to his or her surroundings. How about sentence number 2? May I go to my friend's party and stay overnight? If your answer is permission, you are correct. It is a sentence that expresses permission. Asking permission to go to your friend's party and stay overnight. How about sentence number 3? Many students cannot go to school as soon as they like. What do you think is the answer here? If your answer is prohibition, you are correct. It is a sentence that shows prohibition that many students cannot go to school as soon as they like. Types of modals. but we are just figuring the three main types. We have the modals of permission, modals of obligation, and modals of prohibition. Modals of permission. Permission is a consent or agreement given to a request. It is usually expressed by using modals of permission such as can, could, or may, plus the base form of the verb. This modal will help you with someone's consent to do something. Remember, modal is always accompanied with the base form of the verb. Here are the modals of permission. We have the modal can. Can. It is the least formal of the modal verbs used to ask or give permission. Here are some examples with can. Can I play music? And can I wear shorts? So, always remember that can is used in situations or in the context of the sentence is not formal, such as permission to play music and wear shorts. The next modal is could. Could. It is less formal. So, if you're going to compare the degree of the formality between the modal can and could is used in less formal situations, as reflected in the situations below. Could I have some more juice? Could I bring a friend to the party? May. It is the most formal modal verb used to ask or give permission. Here are some examples. May I use a calculator on the test? May I have another piece of cake, please? Always remember that may is the politest among the three, and it is used in formal situations, such as when you are about to borrow something from a friend or when you are talking to your teacher. Modals of obligation. Obligation is a sense of duty demanded by conscience, custom, or gratitude. Examples of modals of obligation are must and have to. We have here the modals of obligation of have to. Have to. Strong obligation, possibly from outside. Example, children have to go to school. So, the modal have to came from an outside speaker, which means it is not the speaker himself who is setting the obligation. Then, we have the modals of obligation must. Must. Strong obligation, possibly based on the speaker's opinion. For example, I must study today. Let's learn more about the modals of obligation by taking a look at these two sentences. Number 1. My doctor said that I have to stop smoking or I'll risk serious problems. Number 2. I must stop smoking. In sentence 1, since the obligation came from seminals, we have to use the modal have to. On the other hand, in sentence 2, since the obligation came from the speaker himself, then we have to use the modal must. Modals of prohibition. Prohibition is an act of restraining or stopping an action by an authority. Modals used here are the same in modals of permission or obligation but with the word not. Here are example sentences using the modals of prohibition. Doctors must not or mustn't make mistakes. She could not or couldn't play such a rough game of politics. You cannot or can't smoke in any public place. You may not eat in the classroom during break time. Modals used here are the same in modals of permission or prohibition, modals of permission or obligation, but it is accompanied with the word not. Let's try if you really did learn something by doing this activity. Directions. Underline the modals in the following sentences and identify its type. Number 1. Parents must listen not only to what the children are saying, but also to what they are not saying. What is the modal sentence? If your answer is must, you are correct. And what do you think is its type? If your answer is obligation, you are correct. Let us now answer sentence number 2. Children may join activities outside the school premises, provided their parents know about it. What do you think is the modal in this sentence? If your answer is may, you are correct. And what do you think is the type of this modal? If your answer is permission, you are correct. Number 3. Students cannot choose which rules to obey. What do you think is the modal in sentence 3? If your answer is cannot, you are correct. And cannot is a model of... What do you think is the answer here? If your answer is prohibition, you are correct. Number 4. Some may express their own opinions, but they have to be tactful about it. What do you think is the modal in this sentence? If your answer is may, you are correct. And what type of modal is may? If your answer is permission, you are correct. We are now down to the last sentence, number 5. You can't graduate if you fail one course. What do you think is the modal in this sentence? If your answer is can't, great job, you are correct. And what is the function of this modal? If your answer is prohibition, you are correct. Let's practice directions. Fill in the blanks with the correct modals of permission, obligation, and prohibition. Number 1. Blank, I borrow this book for a week, please. What do you think is the correct modal in sentence 1? If your answer is modal may, you are correct. May I borrow this book for a week, please? And why may and not can? Because may is the politest modal. And we can use this in situations like borrowing something from a friend. Number 2. Every examinee blank follow the directions. What do you think is the correct modal in this blank? If your answer is have to, you are correct. Every examinee have to follow the directions. Number 3. He blank sneak out of the lecture room immediately. What do you think is the correct modal in this blank? If your answer is cannot, you are correct. He cannot sneak out of the lecture room immediately. Now let's proceed to number 4. Miss Saldana blank, I go out for a minute. What do you think is the correct modal in this blank? If your answer is may, you are correct. Miss Saldana, may I go out for a minute? So meaning, the speaker is asking permission. We are now down to our last sentence. Sentence number 5. You blank, hand in your project later in my office. What do you think is the correct modal in this blank? If your answer is can, you are correct. You can hand in your homework later in my office. And that would be all in English 9, Quarter 1, Week 1 about modal verbs. Thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye!